And we begin tonight with a breaking news update from Maricopa.
A police officer is recovering in the hospital after being shot at a gas station. And tonight, authorities say that the suspect in this shooting is dead.
12 News journalist Chase Golightly is live at the scene. And Chase, neighbors are telling you they actually heard several gunshots.
Mark Reby, they believe that several of those gunshots actually hit their home, and you can see investigators are still out here hours after this shooting took place here in Maricopa. As we zoom in on the area that they're focusing on, where we believe the shooting took place, it backs right up to several homes. It was at this busy gas station in Maricopa where a shooting involving police happened in the middle of the day.
I was home alone. I was scared. I only had my dog.
While working on her homework, Azul heard those shots ring out.
I heard around 5 gunshots. I panicked. I called the cops.
She says it was around 2:50 at this Circle K near Boland Road and John Wayne Parkway. When she walked into her backyard, she could see police on the other side of the fence and a man lying on the ground.
I ran back inside. I locked the doors, and I just cried and called my parents.
She also noticed this hole in her home, believing it was from the gunfire that erupted.
A lot of gunshots.
Her neighbor, who didn't want to go on camera, was also home when it happened.
When I looked out my back door, I just seen the police shooting at somebody.
The Pinal County Sheriff's Office didn't say what led up to this shooting, just that a Maricopa police officer was hit and taken to the hospital. And the suspect involved in the shooting was killed. Saying that suspect, a man in his late 30s, was recently released from the Department of Corrections and has a violent criminal history. Authorities locked down the entire gas station as they investigated. With so much gunfire, people were relieved, others didn't get hurt.
Pretty crazy, man. A lot of kids be here all the time.
Now, we were told that injured police officer is expected to make a full recovery and is currently in stable condition. Now, after we received this update from the sheriff's office, we did reach back out to try to find out exactly what led to the shooting and how many other officers were involved. But they said they're not releasing any additional information tonight. We're live in Maricopa. Chase Golightly, 12 News.
All right, Chase, thank you for that update. Also breaking tonight, the eastbound lanes of the Loop 202 are closed at Mesa Drive due to a crash there. DPS says that a motorcyclist was hurt. ADOT says there is no estimated time to reopen the freeway, so stay with 12 News for more updates.
A tragic update tonight. The Glendale Police Department is confirming that one of their officers was killed this morning in a motorcycle crash on the 303 near Happy Valley Road. The department says the officer was off duty. According to DPS, no other vehicles were involved. At the family's request, the officer's name is being withheld right now. We'll continue to follow this and bring you any updates as they become available.
12 News has exclusively obtained some new details about the ongoing investigation into the murder of a young woman in Tempe, Mercedes Vega.
The killing happened back in April of 2023, and tonight, a man from Tennessee is being charged with her murder. But in going through these records, it turns out investigators don't believe that he acted alone.
12 News journalist Bianca Bono has been covering this case, and she's joining us now live in studio. And Bianca, what else did you see in these records?
Well, we've known that Mercedes Vega was also the victim of an aggravated assault years before she was killed. But now, for the first time, records are linking the man accused of assaulting her to the man accused of murdering her. A 9-page search warrant revealing stunning new details about the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office ongoing investigation into the heinous death of Mercedes Vega, the 22-year-old Tempe woman who was kidnapped, tortured, and found inside of a burning car in April of 2023. So far, one man, 22-year-old Sincere Hayes from Tennessee, is being charged with her murder. But these records show he couldn't have acted alone. The search warrant, obtained exclusively by 12 News, was for American Airlines records, as detectives worked to learn more about how Hayes traveled from Tennessee to Arizona. The documents reveal his plane ticket was purchased with a credit card that belonged to a woman who rented an apartment for Cujo Young. Young, also from Tennessee, is accused of assaulting Mercedes Vega at gunpoint in 2020, and she was scheduled to testify against him when she was killed. The records show that the flights were purchased in early March of 2023. Then, on March
17th, Cujo Young's friend and former roommate created an OfferUp account using a fake name to buy a Chevrolet Malibu, the same Malibu police say that was burned with Vega's body inside. MCSO detectives used OfferUp records, an IP address, and cell phone records to uncover that development. The records also shed new light on exactly what happened to Vega the night of April 16th. Around 9:15 p.m., surveillance footage from Vega's apartment complex shows her walking to her car, the last time she's seen alive. The documents say the Chevrolet Malibu was seen in that same parking garage about 30 minutes prior. Vega's blood was found in her parking spot and in the front passenger area of her car, showing she had been physically assaulted, injured, and kidnapped. Both Vega's car and the Malibu were then seen exiting the garage at the same time. Around 9:25, video shows Vega's car being abandoned near Culinary Dropout in Tempe, and the Malibu is then seen leaving the area. Hours later, it was found on fire with Vega's body inside. Also inside were 2 bottles of bleach, lighter fluid, and latex gloves. But it was evidence from Vega's car that turned out to be critical. Records show a fingerprint was collected from a bloody grocery bag just over a year later. Finally, a match. In May of 2024, Sincere Hayes was arrested in Tennessee on unrelated charges, and his fingerprint matched the bag. As for Cujo Young, who has not been charged in connection to Vega's death, he was wearing an ankle monitor at the time, and detectives say he was not in the area of the homicide. These search warrant documents show the same credit card used to buy Hayes' flight from Tennessee also bought additional flights, leading detectives to believe an unknown co-conspirator may have traveled on one of these airlines. When reached for comment about the new revelations in these records, an MCSO spokesperson said in part, MCSO is still actively and intently investigating the death of Mercedes Vega. One arrest has been made, and other investigative leads are being investigated. It is believed this incident is in relation to other crimes and investigations with multiple agencies, that investigators are not yet ready to disclose additional information due to the complexity and delicate nature of the case and other cases.
And Sincere Hayes appeared in court this morning and is due back in court on April 15th. Vega's parents are asking members of the public and supporters of their fight for justice to show up if they can. They'll also be creating a memorial for Vega near the I-10 where her body was found. The deadline for prosecutors to decide whether they will seek the death penalty against Hayes has been extended to May 14th. We're live in studio. Bianca Bono, 12 News.
Bianca, thanks. New details tonight in that deadly plane crash at the Scottsdale airport earlier this month.
The NTSB says that this was not the first time that this particular Learjet had experienced a problem with its landing gear. The NTSB reveals that this Learjet, owned by Motley Crue star Vince Neil, had landing gear problems before. Investigators found the landing gear positioned much further back than normal and discovered an unusual amount of grease around a critical component. Aviation expert Cary Grant explains the concern.
It's indicative of occasion where the trunnion bolt and pins were not aligned correctly. So that's and there was a mechanic that serviced it back in December, I believe, and said it did take a lot of grease, and he didn't investigate it beyond that.
The pilot, 78-year-old Joey Vitoski, was killed in the crash. The report also says there were no radio calls from the cockpit indicating that he was aware that his landing gear had malfunctioned. The Department of Transportation wants to supercharge the hiring of air traffic controllers to solve an ongoing shortage. To attract new people to the profession, the FAA is increasing starting salaries by 30% for candidates who start at the academy in Oklahoma. The agency will also trim its 8-step hiring process down to 5. The new hiring window launched today and ends March 17th. The announcement comes with more attention being drawn to air traffic controllers after a string of aviation incidents.
Also new tonight, Arizona schools would be forced to teach children about the newly named Gulf of America under a bill advanced today by the Republican-controlled House. A full House vote would come as soon as Monday. President Donald Trump issued an executive order when he took office renaming the body of water as also known as the Gulf of Mexico. The bill's sponsor, Representative Teresa Martinez, says that she will amend it to force public universities to teach the name. The bill now heads to the state Senate.
Under a new proposal to cut down on heat-related injuries and emergency rescues, popular hiking trails in Phoenix could be closed for a larger part of the summer.
Yeah, that's right. Tonight, city officials held a public meeting to discuss the changes. Phoenix Fire noted that 76% of summer mountain rescues they were called to since 2021 were due to heat illnesses. The Phoenix Parks and Recreation Board is considering closing Camelback Mountain, Piestewa Peak, and South Mountain trails from 7 in the morning until 5 p.m. whenever the daily high temperature is forecast to be over 105 degrees. Currently, trails close at 8 a.m., and that's only on the days where there is an excessive heat warning.
Human trafficking was one of the big topics on Capitol Hill today. The Senate holding a special hearing on trafficking prevention. Arizona native Sherry Lopez traveled to Washington to testify today. She runs Pearl at the Mailbox, which is a nonprofit dedicated to human trafficking prevention after she was trafficked for more than 7 years while she was in high school.
Teach our children how to drive cars, and it's a process before they get a license. So why are we not teaching the children how to spot when somebody is trying to harm them, such as a predator, whether it be in person or online? That is lacking throughout all of our country, and specifically in Arizona, we can't get these programs in our schools. So we need to focus on education for prevention purposes.
Lopez explained that a common tell when a child is being trafficked is if they suddenly start acting differently and if they start hanging out with a different crowd. She also emphasized that a big part of prevention is tied to the school system.